Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, sort of good. The sun rose. Chiefs fans, the sun rose. It'll be all right. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor. Here it is, Sports Daily. Man, what a bummer of a Super Bowl we had last night. Not even close. Never was really that close. And the Chiefs get dominated by the Eagles. They don't get the three-peat done, and we'll talk all about it today. You can vent your frustrations, Chiefs fans. We'll go back through the game. What went wrong? What do they do now? What does the future look like? It was a great game by Jalen Hurts and not a great game by Patrick Mahomes, if we're being fully honest about it. And much more than that went into it, of course. But we'll get into all of it today with our Chiefs talk. We're also going to get into some college hoops from over the weekend. K-State, big winners in the Sunflower Showdown. Voice of the Wildcats, our K-State insider, Wyatt Thompson, will join the program in the next segment to go back through that game. That tell us more about K-State, more about KU. We'll dig into all of it. Wichita State got a nice road win over the weekend as well. A lot to get to, including your commentary on all of it. You can call us on KFH. You can do that at 869-1240. As always, you can also leave us your messages on our video streams, Facebook, YouTube, X. Of course, thanks for watching on 12 News Connected. Fire away. Chiefs fans, fire away today. We're ready for it. Odyssey app has a voicemail feature in which you can utilize. But here we go, Tommy. Not the reaction Monday, I think, that we probably anticipated. Yeah, look, it's you want to have a big party, you want to have all of these things, and you can't do any of it because you just sit there and man, what a bummer, what a bummer, what a bummer. I just like I don't know. You, we can take this opening segment. We're going to talk a lot about this, and for those folks on the video stream, you'll hear Tommy now. I think you have to. I think you have to first tip your cap to probably the Eagles coaches, Nick Sirianni at the forefront and Vic Fangio for a great game plan. But I take this away as Jalen Hurts, Tommy, and I said this. Look, I said this was going to be the Jalen Hurts game, right? A big play would have to be made by him late, and I just don't know if he's in there. And he was great yesterday. He ran the ball a ton, especially when he needed to. He was a very efficient passer. He did have the late interception that didn't mean anything ultimately, but he was fantastic. And now he's been to Super Bowls a lot lately. And it's like, okay, maybe he is in that class. And that's what he's done his whole career, by the way, like college, everywhere, to the pros, even being a good NFL quarterback. That's kind of his thing, like overcoming these odds because he just does it in a different way than some of the other great quarterbacks. He's not typically just piling up the stats throwing the ball, but he is now. And I think the conversation, look, Eagles fans can go have their fun and do all that sort of thing. But I think long term here, again, I don't know what it is. Like everyone wants to give Howie Roseman all the credit in the world. Like Howie Roseman's a Hall of Famer. What a great job. And he did do a great job. But man, the coaches still have to coach and the players still have to play. There's a lot of great executives out there that don't have the sort of success that this particular group is having. And so I don't want to sit here today like most of the haters and say, oh, see, Howie Roseman just did such a good job, but Nick Sirianni still sucks and Jalen Hurts still sucks, and these guys aren't great. And I'm like, guys, they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years, and they won one of them, and they just kicked the Chiefs' ass, quite frankly. Like, they absolutely dominated them. So as much as it pains me on a Monday to sit here and give the Eagles the flowers, because I can't stand the Eagles on a personal level, they deserve it. And you got to start there. Like you got to start there. Like you'd start there if the Chiefs had won, and we'd all be hoisting up Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. How do you not hoist up that coach and that quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, it was just absolutely, such a great effort overall. I mean, just from start to finish, I thought the Eagles' game plan was phenomenal. I thought that what they brought to the table just from start to finish, I mean, they were so effective. Their defense, and we've known how great their defense has been all season long. They were all over the place. They were all over the field. And so, I think you start there for sure. There's a lot more to get into with this game. There's no doubt about it. But it starts absolutely with the Eagles defense. It starts with what the Eagles defense were able to do in preventing Kansas City from getting anything going. And then you've got obviously Jalen Hurts, who had a phenomenal game. It wasn't even a Saquon Barkley game. I mean, he was okay, but it was a Jalen Hurts game. And that was something that I think everybody thinks about Saquon as the dude, and he is the dude for sure. But when you do that, you forget about what Jalen Hurts is able to bring to the table. And he had a great offensive game last night.
They won like 16 out of their last 17 games. The only game that they lost was when Hurts was hurt. And that's what I mean. Like immediately, nobody wants to give, and this is such a weird place for me. Nobody wants to give those Eagles players and their coaches any credit. Like I'm not kidding. I popped on this morning before the show like I do and just kind of scrolled around, and already all you're seeing is Howie Roseman. What a year for Howie Roseman. And I'm like, okay, great, guys. He's a GM. Like, could you imagine the first thought coming to your mind after a Chiefs dominating performance like that would be like, man, Brett Veach is just like, but he does a great job.
They get that. I mean, he gets that after they've won Super Bowls. Not like how great Brett Veach is.
I know, but like people act like Sirianni can't coach and Hurts can't play quarterback. And they obviously can. Both of those things because they're constantly in this spot. And they just absolutely dominated the best team of the last decade. Like not even like that game was never close. Their game plan was solid, obviously. And Hurts made all the big plays that he needed to make. That's what you want to see. Like they out-prepared the Chiefs and they outplayed the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts outplayed the best quarterback of this generation. And it wasn't close. Nick Sirianni had a better game plan than the Chiefs, than Andy Reid, and it wasn't even close. So let's start there and say those guys did a hell of a job. And they have been doing one now for a long time. They've been to two of these things. The last Super Bowl was a razor's edge. Could you imagine if the Eagles had figured out a way to come out on top on that, 38-35 game, where we'd be placing them right now? And they've done a good job of infusing in talent, but they've been good for a while. And look, none of this is like disrespect to the Chiefs, so don't take it that way. It's like, where do we appropriately appreciate how good a performance that was? And I think you start there with the Eagles. So we'll get into all of this. We got a long time to talk about it today. So we'll do that. But when we come back, that Sunflower Showdown this weekend was great if you're a K-State fan. Wyatt Thompson joins us next.
97.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless.
Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Digging deeper with the teams you follow. It's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. And we do welcome in the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. Wyatt, I think you're a Chiefs fan, so not a good Monday morning in that sense. But man, it's a good morning for K-State basketball because this hot streak now just continues to roll right through. They got a big one Tuesday night. But did you look at that win, that pretty convincing win, quite frankly, Saturday over KU for K-State and think, man, that was more about KU or that's more just about K-State and how well they're playing? Welcome in.
Great question. Good to be on with you guys again. And let me just address the first part of that. I think it would be fair to say a very euphoric Saturday for me and kind of a bummer on Sunday. I don't know that any of us saw that coming, and why would you, right? After the way they played this year, and I think I even said to a couple of people, it reminded me of the year that New England blew through the regular season, the playoffs undefeated, and lost in the Super Bowl because they really only lost the one game. The other game they didn't care about. It was stunning, and they just easiest way to say it is they got dominated at the line of scrimmage, both sides. So a really frustrating ending to a spectacular year and a spectacular run. Let's hope they can continue to be that kind of team moving forward. And I think they're good enough in the front office and personnel wise to do that. The other part of that is the K-State game. And I would tell you that I think it was more about the Cats and how they played. I thought they were the aggressor. Both teams shot 50%. I think KU even talked about this after the game, that it was one of their better offensive efforts in a while. And yet K-State held them to 43% in the second half after they shot 57 in the first. You again have very balanced scoring. I thought K-State was just a little bit quicker to all of the loose balls, made 11 threes, really had a really good offensive day and really competed on the defensive side. That's the way I saw it. I marvel at Doug and the progress that he's made. And the guy's had 37 assists in the last 5 games. 11 of them came on Saturday against Kansas.
It was another great game, Wyatt, from David Gasson. 20 points for him on 9 of 13 shooting from the field. And there were multiple times throughout that game when, Gasson got the ball down low and his quickness, he was able to, get a lay-in up and in before there was even any kind of defense around him. And I know that we've seen more, I feel like more crisp offense ran as of late from the Wildcats than earlier in the season for sure. But that was surprising to me that he was almost able on a few of those to get those bunnies with very little resistance.
Well, he has just gotten so much better, Tommy. You've seen it too, right? I mean, you mentioned the 9 of 13, and he's shooting at a very high level and has been most of the year. I've said it all along. He's been, from start to now, K-State's most consistent player. And I've said this too, that, the last couple of summers where he has played international basketball with pros from his home country, the Netherlands, has helped him grow into a man himself. He is a very unique athlete, for my money. Exceptionally quick, good handles. I used to say he really does everything pretty well, but not a real great shooter. Okay, that's probably still true, but if you're shooting 60+%, something's happening, and that something is he's getting a lot of easy shots or shots around the rim, and he's just gotten so much better including the left hand, right? And I love his. You go back and look at the tape of the game on Saturday. It's a head and shoulder fake. It's a spin right, spin back left, those kind of things. He's just put a lot of time into his game. He's been great.
He's been great. Coleman Hawkins has been great. And Coleman Hawkins hasn't even really changed what he's been doing all year. But another one where it's like you just look, you're like, man, he's everywhere. And then he is everywhere. And he's everywhere on every box score he's been on all year. Just throw in 5 blocks and a steal to his performance on Saturday. Like, it's so nice to be able to see that guy be what he is, and it works so well. Because early in the season, he was being what he is, and it just wasn't working for the team overall. Not his fault, I don't think. But now I think everyone can appreciate why it was so important that they felt like they get him in there and all the reasons they did.
I agree with everything you're saying, Jake, but I would add this to it. I think all along he's done, probably what he's supposed to be doing. Couple of things, though. One, I believe he's doing it at a higher level here in this stretch. And then secondarily, it's easier, I guess I should say, for him to look good when everybody else around him is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I think you go and you look at the numbers in this streak, and what's happening is you're having, 4 and 5 guys in double figures every day. And you do that, you're going to beat a lot of people, and that's what they're doing.
You mentioned a few minutes ago, Wyatt, Doug McDaniel, and just not only the effort we've seen from him on Saturday, but the last 4 or 5 games. I mean, he's really been the catalyst, I think, for driving the way that the Wildcats have turned their fortunes around this season. He was a few rebounds away from a triple-double, had a double-double in points and assists, and just the way that, number one, he's getting to the basket, but number two, the way he's facilitating. It's been fun to watch. What do you attribute that turnaround to for him over the last month or so?
I just think, to be honest with you, they have finally, he and Coach Tang have made a connection. He's, I've said this a lot too. They're asking him to play different here than they did when he was at Michigan. And yet, I think there it was just go play free and easy. You're a really good athlete. You're a really good player. Go play. This is probably a little bit more structure, and it took him some time to kind of fall into place with that. But I think at the urging of coach and his just will, he's a tough guy, man. And he loves to compete. And he may be smallish in size, but he's got a big heart and he loves the competition. He's just been better there. Decision making's better, shot selection's better. The distribution has been clearly better. So the two things I would say is a lot better defensive player than maybe we thought he was. And then the next part is, again, I think that middle ground with he and coach, he's playing with supreme confidence right now. And when coach says he still has more there that we haven't seen yet, I get excited about that because he's been awfully good in this stretch.
Yeah, I get it. There's something else I get excited about. Wyatt Thompson, voice of the K-State Wildcats, joining us here on Sports Daily. We see a game, and early in the year, again, we had never seen this coming the way they were playing, but Brendan Hawson, Amarillo Assassin, shout out. Love that nickname. Shout out to my hometown. But he goes 3 of 10, which isn't terrible. It's fine. 30%. I mean, on an off night for him, I think you take it. But it was for a long time this season hard to imagine them generating enough offense when he wasn't hitting 4, 5, 6 threes. Now that almost seems like icing on the cake of this offense and its effectiveness. I think that's one of the things that makes them really, really dangerous.
I agree with that. And I think when you're saying that, one of the couple of 2 or 3 things that sticks into my mind is, and I'm going to go back to my buddy Max Jones and how consistent he's been. I believe he is a real catalyst in this too. David's gotten a bunch of headlines, and rightfully so. Coleman, yes. Doug, yes. Max, not quite so much. That guy, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I wrote this into my updated chart yesterday that he's averaging, I think, in the last 7 or 8 games, like 13 points a game, and he's shooting the heck out of it. And he's also a good defender, good rebounder. He can handle it. I thought his game on Saturday was really, really rock solid. And then you're starting to, and I'm really excited about this too, you're starting to see C.J. Jones give them more. It's a little bit more inconsistent than the other guys that we've talked about, but for him, it's a step forward. And man, instead of having, 6 guys or whatever, now you got a 7th, and you just keep getting better there. They're better on both ends of the floor. Their rebounding has been good. I'll give you an example. Hunter Dickinson had 21 points on Saturday, but his field goal percentage is usually better than it was Saturday, right? They defended him pretty well. We were fortunate to get, DeJuan Harris into foul trouble early. It was a 21-20 game when he went out, and K-State took a little leap there. And the next thing you know, they're up 40-29. That was a big factor too. So, but that's part of the game, and I like what they're doing. And you mentioned it earlier. Now you've won 5 in a row, and people are starting to kind of think, well, maybe it isn't as impossible as we once thought it was. Still a long ways to go, right? You got to keep winning games when you're 12-11. That's obvious, but excited to have a chance.
This is the kind of stretch of basketball, Wyatt, where you start to see that momentum continue to build. And they're 12-11 now. They take on a top 25 team in Arizona tomorrow night inside Bramlage. You've got to continue to stack these wins up. But I think things have shifted a little bit from, can they do it, to they're in the middle of doing it. They just need to keep it rolling.
I think everybody that follows the game very closely, and I'm talking about, some of those national voices like name the guy, Jeff Goodman or whoever it might be, are saying, hey, at now they've at least, at worst case, they've at least put themselves in a position where they have a chance. Where, a month ago they had no chance. Would you agree with that? I mean, I think that's pretty legit. This will be a really big game tomorrow night, no question about that. For those that don't follow it as closely as we do, Arizona's won. Let's put it in perspective this way: 4-5 to start the year. 4-5. Now they're 17-6. They've won 6 in a row and 13 of 14. So they're cooking. And they have really good size and really good talent. Caleb Love's been around a long time. One of the handful of guys ever to have 1,000 points at a couple of different schools. They're really good. So if you're going to extend it, you're going to have to play great tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, well, for sure. But you look at this thing now, they're a win away and some help from being like tied for 5th place in the league.
Exactly.
That's how quickly that thing turned around for them. And I say this all the time, like I fear this moment where we go back and we look at like the TCU game and the Texas Tech games they probably should have won.
Mm-hmm.
And let those be there. But you know, you don't have to get to that point. You just keep winning these games. I thought they needed one of the 3 between Kansas, Arizona, and Iowa State. If they could win the rest, they got 1. Now, what if they get 2 of those 3?
Mm-hmm.
How, you know, what does it do? And I think it'll be enough if that happens, you know, because just the way they're playing.
Yeah, no doubt. And another thought here, a couple of things. One, to augment what we're saying here about how well Arizona's playing, I don't make a big deal usually when teams win games at home, but they beat Tech this weekend. Tech has beaten almost everybody on the road,
yeah.
Right? I mean, they've been unbelievably good, and Arizona won that one. Even if you don't win tomorrow night, I still think there is a chance moving forward just because you still have an Iowa State. You go to BYU and you go to Utah and you go to UCF and what have you. There are a lot of games to go yet. I say that, I mean, not a ton, but they're all going to be big. You just got to win your share. And it would be great to knock off a team that is from the just the power structure of it with the net or whatever metric you use there. Arizona's pretty highly regarded. So that would be another big shot for K-State if they can get it.
Wyatt, let's talk football really quick while we've got you. Connor Riley is now a Dallas Cowboy. Offensive line coach Brian Schottenheimer makes that hire last week. Pete Thamel reported this morning that Matt Wells will be the new permanent main offensive coordinator for the team. Of course, he and Connor Riley shared offensive coordinator duties a season ago. I would imagine from a continuity standpoint, that's a pretty important move for the Wildcats, at least have Matt Wells already on staff to be able to just slide into that permanent role.
I appreciate you bringing that up. Let me say a couple of things. I'm really happy for Connor, disappointed for us because we're losing a terrific guy and a really, really great coach, particularly from the offensive line perspective. We had a lot of people in town, as you might suspect, with the KU game on Saturday. And a guy I ran into after the game right by my office was Cooper Beebe. And I jokingly said, "Thanks for stealing our coach." And he said, "You know how many times I've heard that today?" But you know what? I text Connor and I said, "I'm so happy for you, man." And I've talked to Coach Kleiman about this. And he said, "I've known the man for 12 years. I worked with him for 12 years. I knew this day was coming. It's just a matter of time, right? I mean, it's just opportunity that you probably can't walk away from." And I think he'll do well. As for Matt Wells, I've been impressed with Matt long before he came here, but even more so now. I think Coach has an immense amount of respect for his offensive mind. I think it makes some sense to elevate him just because, as you say, the continuity. But he's also the position coach for a pretty important player in this program. So I think I was expecting that. Now the question is what will they do with the offensive line coaching position, or do they move somebody around and hire another position? I think any of that's on the table right now. We'll see how it plays out. But also happy for Matt. He's a really good football coach, and I think he'll do well.
Yeah, we all know. I mean, it's all about Avery. So hopefully that relationship just continues to chug right along. Wyatt, we appreciate it. It's a big week. It's not much rest before Arizona. At least you get to stay at home on Tuesday. Man, I'm looking forward to that game.
No doubt. And next Monday I'll be in Salt Lake City, I think. So we'll chat next Monday, and we'll see if we're not talking about a win or two. That would be great. Looking forward to it, because Arizona tomorrow night, and then Saturday at BYU, and Monday at Salt Lake against Utah. So big stretch here for us.
I'm so happy that they're back into relevancy this season. The tournament starts now, essentially, for K-State. We appreciate it, Wyatt. We'll get you on the call tomorrow night. Looking forward to the game.
Thanks, fellas. Great always talking to you. Appreciate it.
There goes Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Wildcats, K-State insider. Great stuff. They look good, Tommy. I mean, we'll get into this a little bit more later, but I agree with Wyatt. Saturday was more about K-State and less about KU, and that says a lot, honestly, because there's a lot going on with KU right now. But I really think that was more of a story of the Wildcats, man. They're just finally playing the way we thought, and they're really good.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like Wyatt said, and I agree with him. The Wildcats were the aggressor in that game, and they showed that from the opening tip. I think that there are some concerning takeaways for the Jayhawks. I think number one is that they provided almost zero resistance to what Kansas State wanted to do. They didn't force turnovers. They didn't play focused defense. They didn't show any sort of urgency at all. And what's concerning to me about all of it is that outside of that one, I think I called it on social media, pissed off effort against Iowa State on Big Monday a week ago, the Jayhawks have been pretty average at best for a month now, or over a month, at least as far as their effort is concerned, their energy level, their intensity, all of that. And that showed off big time against Kansas State. I think the Wildcats, took major advantage of that.
And that should never happen, by the way, with a team as experienced as they are. It's a weird thing that's happening. I mean, it shouldn't. When you return the kind of talent and players that they've been able to return, that should never be the problem with Kansas. And it's something Bill Self has to they have to figure out how to remotivate themselves internally, probably as much as anything else. But we'll get in a little bit more into that. Some shocker basketball as they had a big weekend as we make our way through the show. We will have a lot of Chiefs talk, Chiefs fans. That's coming up when we return. Want to tell you, though, before, if you have a home construction need, Pepin Suter should be on your list of calls. Let Pepin be your point of contact there. Let him bid the project that you have planned. You'll quickly see why the choice for our kitchen remodel. I had a Super Bowl party last night. I got to show that off a little bit and some of the work that they did. It's top-notch. Their customer service is top-notch, and they'll help you every step of the way. If you've got a home improvement need, indoor, outdoor, whatever it is, call Pepin 316-573-6822 or go to pepinsuter.com. Check out all the great work that they do. We appreciate their support of the program.
By the way, can I just jump in? You and your lovely wife did a phenomenal job hosting our Super Bowl party last night. It was great. You guys did awesome.
Thank you. Probably be more hyped about it if we had a game to watch. Tommy and I were playing poker by halftime. I'll tell you that. We'll be back. More Sports Daily right after this.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Daily here on KFH. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor with you on your hangover Monday from the Super Bowl. Probably a little less hungover than you would have been had that been a more competitive game.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, there was probably some depressive drinking last night.
So? I don't know. I think, and it's not the hangover from the Super Bowl isn't always even about the drinking. It's about being up late because the game goes later and all these things. I heard from a lot of people like, yeah, I'm out, checked out, and maybe not diehard Chiefs fans, and I certainly wasn't because we had bets on the line and things like that. That was rough, and it's so interesting that the thing that haunted the Chiefs for most of the season is the thing that bit the Chiefs in the butt in the end, and they just could not stop an Eagles pass rush that. And, you slide Joe Thuney over and you're a little more vulnerable inside. And, man, we said it. And it's not even that hard to predict. Like, if the Chiefs are going to struggle in this game, it's going to be because there's pressure up the middle. And there was pressure up the middle and from everywhere else because that's one of the better defensive lines the Chiefs will face all year. And that's what it was, right? The Chiefs just could not get anything going offensively because they could not block the Eagles' defensive line. And I don't think that's all that surprising. The Chiefs' greatest deficiency this year, Tommy, was the offensive line on that, and then having to slide Thuney over. It's one of the great strengths of the Eagles, and it did determine the game on that side of the ball. There's no doubt about it.
So why in the hell do you not at least try to run the ball a little bit early in the game? And I get it. Like, who knows if they even would have been effective doing it in the small sample size that they actually did give the ball to Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Neither one of those guys were effective, but there was literally no establishing that early on in the game. And you and I were, talking about it. I'm like, if they could at least show that they're going to do something even slightly different than just drop Mahomes back, then maybe there would be a little bit of unpredictability with this offense, but there was none of that. Everybody and their dog knew that Mahomes was going to drop back and the offensive line was not going to be able to hold as that pass rush from Philadelphia goes to him. And so it's like, can we do something different here? Can we try something else? And by that point, by the time they actually gave the ball to Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco, it was such a predictable stretch that everybody knew that it wasn't going to work. And so by that point, you just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, I guess we're just going to try to take some shots, and really nothing worked.
Yeah. And look, it's tough if you're the Chiefs. Kareem Hunt ran the ball 17 times against the Bills. A lot of that came later in the game. He only ran it 8 in the game against the Texans. They had not run the ball for the last 4, 5, 6 games they've played the way they eventually got to at some point. It just obviously wasn't part of their game plan because they've been doing this, quick strike throwing offense, which is what I thought they would do. I didn't think they were going to run the ball very much yesterday. And I don't know if it would have been, well, it would have been more effective than, what happened. But would it have made the ultimate difference in the game? I'm not sure, because ultimately Kansas City was going to have to throw the ball, and Philadelphia just didn't let him do it. And again, I'm just so impressed with what the Eagles were able to do game plan wise. Like, everything they did was the right thing to do. Like, they went into it the right way. They made the right decisions. I thought it was, I didn't think Saquon Barkley was going to run wild in that game. I really didn't. I didn't think the Chiefs were going to let him do that. And they did a great job on him. So then it came around to, it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts making plays. Said it for 2 weeks, and he did. And he did. He made a lot of plays. And he made a lot of plays with his legs. That's what makes him dangerous. And he was efficient as a thrower. Took a few shots, made a few bad throws, not many, and was highly efficient. That's what he does. And it fits, and he deserves all the credit in the world. The Chiefs have a big glaring elephant in the room, and it is they still can't solve left tackle. It has now cost them 2 Super Bowls. That offensive line has cost them 2 Super Bowls. That's the reason they lost against the Buccaneers, one of the reasons, and it's the reason they got dominated yesterday. And they'll go back to the drawing board this offseason and still try to get it right. Rick wonders why Andy Reid didn't try sliding Thuney back over there. Maybe that's got to be a hard thing to do, though, in game like that, when you've made your decision and you're going for it. I mean, maybe you could have tried it. I probably not a bad idea. But at some point, yeah, when you lose Thuney, who's a Pro Bowl caliber player in the middle there, and you slide him over to try to Band-Aid a left side, yeah, it could bite you, and it's going to bite you when you play this kind of defensive tackles. So it's just a bad matchup. I mean, honestly, it's a bad matchup, and it was bad game plan, and Philadelphia outplayed them. And that's not even that crazy. The Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls in a row and went to a third. Like, they'll be fine. And there's no reason to think they won't be one of the favorites to get back there next year either. They just got outplayed in that game. And it highlights, as much as anything else, Tommy, how hard it is to win Super Bowl in this league. No team's ever done it for a reason. And they got closer than everybody else. And they had their bad game. And it just happened in the Super Bowl. And there we go.
I go back to the offensive line talk, and I remember thinking all the way back in August, like during training camp and then during preseason. And I remember bringing this up multiple times. Like, are they really going to roll with an untested Wanya Morris at left tackle? Are they really going to pin the future of left tackle on a rookie in Kingsley Suamataia? Is this really the direction they're going to go to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side? And I remember I kept thinking, like, eventually they're going to sign a veteran. Eventually they're going, and I guess they did with DJ Humphries, but it took, 12 weeks before they actually brought him in. But it was something that, even all the way back in training camp and preseason, that conversation was there. Like, man, after having what happened 4 years ago against the Buccaneers, and by the way, I'd like to talk about this more in hour number 2, because I think there are so many parallels between the way that the Chiefs got smacked around by the Buccaneers and what happened last night overall, and from a legacy perspective, that I think it's worth a conversation. But even just from the left tackle position only, after they got thumped by the Bucs, they went out and they signed Orlando Brown. And then, they had to get that, horrible performance on the biggest stage in front of the entire world to get them to be like, man, we probably ought to go and invest in left tackle. We had to go and try to find Orlando Brown. I think history has repeated itself a little bit, like they're at a point now where they had to show again on the biggest stage that what they were able to do to piecemeal together an offensive line, it blew apart and imploded with a great pass rush on the biggest stage. And I think that the fact that the Chiefs were able to sort of get by with what they had been able to do by sliding Joe Thuney over, by being able to, implement a quick strike passing offense. These were all Band-Aids, but those Band-Aids blew up big time. It doesn't solve the overall problem. And hopefully now in this offseason, they'll actually do something to address it.
Well, they'll try again, because they've tried now with high draft capital. They've tried with making trades for players. They've tried they've tried all of it, and none of it has worked. It's been like the one thing that the front office can't get right. And that's, they'll try again.
They got it semi-right with Orlando Brown. I know it didn't work long-term, but the Orlando Brown signing, they were able to get another championship, off of that. And I think that it improved. It became less glaring, that they were having major issues on the offensive line. So have they fully permanently gotten it right? No, because Orlando Brown's no longer on the team. In fact, I don't think that they've been able to permanently, or not permanently, but at least long-term, solve that problem since they lost Eric Fisher.
But think about how many ways they've tried and the capital they've invested to do it.
I know they have.
It's not, you lose Fisher. So you've drafted now Wanye and Kingsley with, basically second-day picks 2 years in a row. You brought in Jawan Taylor as a free agent. He's never even played a snap over there. And you paid him a ton of money. You traded for Orlando Brown, had to let him go.
By the way, I don't want to hear about, people saying, well, Jawan Taylor, they didn't bring him in to play left tackle. They're paying him the money to be a left tackle.
They literally brought him in to be a left tackle, not only just financial. That was the plan. He's never been over there. Absolutely, that was the plan. He was supposed to be a left tackle. That's why they paid him that way. And it just they just haven't been able to get it right time and time and time again. I will say, and we'll get more into throughout this week and in the coming days, and maybe even in the next hour, what does priority one become in the offseason? I don't think anything changes. It's always been that. But with the emergence of Xavier Worthy and Noah Gray's emergence in general this year, they don't have a lot of needs this offseason. They'll probably lose Trey Smith, so they're probably in the market for a couple of linemen, but they don't have a bunch of different things they'll have to address. They can laser focus on that line singularly, because remember, next year they'll get Rashee Rice back and they have Worthy, and they're not going to need to do much else besides that one thing. And that's honestly, I know you don't want to hear it today, Chiefs fans. That's good news because it gets simple. If Kelsey really comes back, I think he will. They have plenty of firepower. They have plenty in the backfield. They have everything there, except they've got to try again to solve that problem. And now it'll probably be two problems on the offensive line, and see what happens. And so, they don't want. They're going to be hard to work. Remember what happened the last time they lost a Super Bowl, right? How they reacted and took it and used it and did all those things, and they'll do that again. We can talk about the legacy stuff too in the next hour, because I know that's a hot topic today. Does this tarnish any of it? No, it doesn't. They won 2 Super Bowls and made it to a third. Teams don't do that. They're the first team to even be able to try to do this. It's wild to think that they have been able to be on the right side of all of this in all of the key moments now for almost 3 seasons. They've been able to do that. That doesn't happen. Didn't happen for Brady's Patriots. Hadn't happened for anybody. And they were able to do that. Mahomes is young. Their window's wide open as long as he's there. And he did not have a good game. It's fine. That's going to happen. He had a really bad game. In fact, I don't remember a worse game. I'll put it that way. I don't remember him playing a worse game Maybe the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers was as bad, but that was as bad as it's bad timing. It's bad timing. And the Eagles, again, to me, like the Eagles, this is a conversation today about the Eagles and how impressive it was that they pushed all the right buttons before the game, during the game. Like they did everything right. And it was impressive, as much as it pains Eagles haters like me or anybody else. Like what they did was really, really impressive yesterday.
It really was. And it was Jalen Hurts. And I know we talked about that at the top of the show. It was Jalen Hurts with, both his arm and his legs. He was able to find guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and even Jahan Dotson. Like he found those guys. Dallas Goedert had a good game. Like he was able to find his weapons, and it was too much for Kansas City's secondary. But then as soon as Kansas City, started to really try to clamp down on the passing game and Philadelphia had a big lead, well, then Jalen took off with his legs and was able to show why he is so talented in that regard. And I think that was, there's a lot of talk, and there always has been a lot of talk about, is Jalen Hurts deserving of one of the, being one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL? I think his performance last night solidified that he absolutely is.
I agree. I totally agree. Listen, I've been beating the drum of like, I just don't think he's there.
Yeah,
I don't.
There.
I mean, he's there. He's there. At least he's there in this situation because it's seemingly perfect. I mean, it is. And what have we seen? All of these great teams, Tommy, that come up short to the Chiefs, there's been a consistent theme the last few years. They abandon the run, right? They abandon the run. They stop running the ball. Saquon Barkley was totally ineffective, ran the ball 25 times. That's why you don't abandon the run against the Chiefs, by the way. You keep them off the field. You get a lead and you can keep them off the field. That's your path to a victory over the Chiefs.
100%.
And that's exactly what the Eagles did, and they didn't bail, so they deserve a ton of credit for it. And I don't want to give it to them. Jeez, Eagles. Blech. All right, we'll come back. Another hour of Sports Daily right after this.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Glad to be here with you. It's Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester. Another hour of Sports Daily coming your way. By the way, you can listen to KFH Radio for a chance at the ultimate trip to Vegas in March. Winning easy. Just download the free Odyssey app, log in, listen to KFH Radio. Listen each day for a minimum of 1 hour for your daily entry. It includes travel and accommodations for 4 to Las Vegas plus $20,000 in spending cash. Get all the info for the national contest right there at KFHradio.com. Stay at the Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination. Visit the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. We come back in this hour. We'll, of course, talk more Super Bowl, as much as it might pain you, Chiefs fans or Eagles haters like me. We'll do that. We will talk a little bit about the Shockers. We hit K-State KU in the Sunflower Showdown. We'll get more into that as well. We'll probably talk a little college hoops in this first segment and then go back to football, Tommy. I do want to get to, I'm browsing the headlines and worst performance from an Andy Reid team of all time and where are the Chiefs and why did this happen and why didn't it? Can't wait to dig into all that because it's insane. A team that has won back-to-back Super Bowls and went to a third, they got outplayed in a game by a really good team. One of the better performing teams, by the way, we've ever seen as far as where they ranked offensively and defensively this year. And they played really well, and the Chiefs didn't. And it's not that big a deal legacy-wise, but you asked me that last night, and we'll get into that conversation as we make our way through. We'll talk about the halftime performance and all that other stuff that's always fun. With we won't say much because I don't know much about it. But maybe some of our great listeners do. Maybe Rick out there's a big Kendrick Lamar fan and has some thoughts. I don't know a ton about it, but I guess it was a bad night for Drake and Taylor Swift and the pop stars had a I don't know, but we'll look. We'll give you a chance to talk about it. But let's talk a little bit of college hoops here, Tommy, in this first one. I want to talk about. We talked about the K-State side of the Sunflower Showdown. Let's get both in here, the KU side and the Shockers winners. Let's start with KU. Now, can we worry about them coming to Wichita now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to control this, I don't think. What'll be interesting is they've got so many high-quality wins this year, and they'll get a couple of more high-quality wins this year before it's done. They're going to have a ton of them on their resume. But, man, like, I just can't figure out how a team with so much experience is so inconsistent. That should not be the thing that troubles them. That should be the thing that like never troubles them. How is this team inconsistent? It's so many of the same players, and it's just wild to think about these swings for them. But we're kind of seeing this now for 2 years.
I know you care so much about whether or not KU comes to Wichita.
I do.
For me, like that, yeah, it'd be great if they came to Wichita and played in the NCAA tournament. But for me, I think my bigger concern is, can they even win a game in the NCAA tournament? Like they're ripe. Like let's say that they're a 5 seed, a 4 seed, a 5 seed. They're kind of trending towards that, world somewhere around there. Depending on who that matchup is, if it's a 12 or a 13, like they're ripe for a first round upset. They're ripe for an early round exit. I don't care if they're playing in Wichita, if they're playing in Denver, if they're playing in Timbuktu. I don't think it matters. The way that this team is playing right now, they're going to go up against probably a pretty high-flying team that shoots the lights out of the basketball, because that's typically the way the 13-4 or the 12-5 matchups end up in the NCAA tournament. And that's not the kind of situation that I think the Jayhawks right now want to be in, because they can't force turnovers. They can't make teams uncomfortable. They haven't shown that they can do that hardly at all, especially in conference play. I'm more concerned about that than where they're actually playing.
You're misunderstanding why I'm concerned that they play in Wichita. I'm not concerned that they play in Wichita because I think that gives them a better chance to win tournament games.
You want to cry, like you want the Wichita crowd to be able to. I
want to party downtown, and I want it to show off the community.
Make no mistake, there's going to be a big
better
crowd. There's going to be a big crowd regardless of.
Not like there will be. I can promise. I went to Omaha last year thinking they were going to play there, and they didn't, and it was severely deflated. I mean, that's how it works. Like you have to have teams.
Wichita's going to show up regardless.
Wichita will show up, yes, but are you going to like have a crazy crowded, packed downtown for 3 days?
So. I mean, I think that you've got some of the teams that I've seen, projected potentially to come to Wichita include Iowa State. I think Iowa State, they travel great. I think they'll bring everybody. Like if they end up here, OU, A&M, Houston, like I think that they're like you're going to get some pretty good. I think they're
get lucky. OU's going to be like a 8 seed or miss the tournament. It's fine. It's just like I want the best for Wichita. No, I don't think it's going to make them play any better or worse. It's going to be matchup dependent, like it was last year, and they get Colorado, Utah, BYU, Oklahoma State, Colorado. Like they ought to win the next 5 games. And they'll elevate themselves right back up in the standings, and they'll probably be in like 3rd place in the Big 12, and then they'll have to play some tough games again. And that's just the way it is. What I want to do with them, though, is look back to last year and just think about like this, like last year as we're watching them, it's like, there's no chance this team is capable of making a run in the NCAA tournament. But like this year, while I think it does feel like that sometimes, maybe even a lot of times, you have to remember they beat Michigan State, they beat Duke, right? They have big wins all over this schedule against teams that are absolutely in contention to win a national championship. They should have beaten Houston, and I know they didn't get it done, but they should have. The Baylor game is still the most disappointing to me, I think. But like that's what is different, I think, than last year. Whereas last year was like they don't have a chance to make a run in the tournament, like none. Like even in like all the matchups and the planets align. I do think this team is significantly better than last year's team. I do, because I think Zeke Mayo's better. I think Flory Badunga's better. I think just those two alone with the big three are better than everything they had with the big three, if you want to call them that, last year. So I definitely don't think it's panic time. I just can't figure out what buttons are going to need to be pushed to find consistency for this team, because it seems so random. You know what I mean? Like, there's not like a thing where it's like, oh, this is going to be the game where you get the inconsistent Jayhawk. Like, it just comes at random times in both directions too, by the way. Like, it's just totally like, who knows? Is this going to be the game where KU looks like the best team in the country, or is this going to be the game where KU looks like they don't give a damn? And that's not fair. Of course, that's not true, but it looks that way. It's hard to predict. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that one of the challenges, for sure with this team is that you're starting to see, some of the guys that you wanted to turn a corner and make a big leap forward this time of year. Really, they're not, or they haven't, and I don't even want to use the word regression, but like, here's an example. Flory Badunga did not play well against Kansas State. He really honestly didn't play that great against Iowa State either. And so we saw really great flashes from him, but the last week and a half or so, he's looked like a freshman. He's looked the part, and that's concerning now in early February, not necessarily because he can't turn it around, because I think he probably can. He's got the talent to do so, but I'm not sure he's going to be given the leash to be able to turn it around. Yeah, I think that we're going to see, him riding a pretty solid spot on the bench with Bill Self, moving forward, because that's kind of the way that things operate with this program. So, I'd like to see him be able to work through, some of those growing pains as a freshman. I'm not sure how realistic that is. And because of that, you've got, and it's not just him, but you've got talented players that I'm not sure are they're not in a position right now where they can work through it in game. And because of that, you're going to start seeing, and you already have, a much tighter lineup, a reliance on the guys like Dickinson and Harrison Adams. It's going to go right back to kind of that predictable KU that everybody's used to. Yeah. And you know what? If those three guys were able to produce at a high level, and I'm not just talking about offensively, it was concerning the way that DeJuan Harris got into foul trouble on Saturday.
Well, that killed him.
It was concerning the fact that you really saw very little resistance on either end of the court by anybody. Like, that sort of thing is concerning. So I'm usually not a huge objector to having guys like Dickinson and Harris and Adams on the court as long as they're producing. And we didn't see hardly any of that on Saturday against the Wildcats.
Because we only saw 24 minutes out of Harris because he was in foul trouble, and it hurt him. That hurt him badly. He's the one of the three you don't ever want to see come off the floor.
But Dickinson and Adams, I think, got bullied by Hawkins and Gasson.
Sure they did. They're too prone to that. It's been my problem from the beginning of the season. I want to see more Badunga because I think KU's capable of getting bullied like that, and they shouldn't be. Real quick on the Shockers, big win. Super Bowl Sunday, if you missed it, they go down to South Florida. That's a nice win for them. They're kind of, it allows them on a 2-game win streak to sort of climb back into it a little bit. They're within striking distance of being in the top half of the league. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do. They've got a big week coming up. They've got to be able to get revenge on UTSA and do what they're supposed to before they host Memphis this weekend. Another Sunday tip and on national TV. So it looked like there was a point there where the Shockers just couldn't get anything going, and then Xavier Bell was great again, and they were able to get a lead, almost lose it at the end. They had a 9-point lead and almost let it go, but they get it done. They come back and play Wednesday. We need to see them follow it up and get 3-game win streak. Let's go. They're trying to get back in the mix here and to respectability, and I think they're off to a decent start to do it with the 2 wins in a row. We'll come back. More Super Bowl talk when we return on Sports Daily.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust." Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is more Sports Daily. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every morning. Shout out to Max Power for joining the team. Glad to have Max in with us. He's going to join us here on Sports Daily. Also, shout out to Bob and Jeff for their great run, which if you missed any of the special on Friday, it was fantastic. And go back and listen to it on the Odyssey app. Congratulations to them on the next chapter and being on the air for as long as they were each and every day here on KFH. But Max comes over and joins us. We're happy about that. Max is, Max, welcome in. How are, like, this is a little different shift for you. What do you think of the early morning? You a morning guy, Max?
It used to be. Now, not, but I'm here.
It's wild that we've got Max in his first show officially as our producer. I mean, he's a known Chiefs hater, and so I've had to deal with that basically all morning since I've been here. So that's a lot of fun.
All I did was wear my WMMR Philadelphia shirt.
That's it. That's all. Glad to have Max in. He's taking your calls at 869-1240. We are taking your video comments on the stream. You can leave us those via Facebook, YouTube, or X. Thanks for watching us on 12 News Connected, and thanks for listening to us on the Odyssey app. There is a voicemail feature there. If you'd like to just let it go, vent your frustrations, you can do that. Max can play that for us right over the air. Lots of different ways to get in touch with the program. It's a rough morning. It's a rough morning. I get it, Chiefs fans. Like that sucks. And it's not like you haven't been there before. That Buccaneers game, we brought it up, Tommy. That was a 22-point loss. So in all fairness, it was technically a worse loss. But a very similar type outcome. Chiefs didn't really run the ball. Mahomes had a very bad game, and Tampa's defense pressured him in a way that teams hadn't been able to do. Remember, that was sort of the beginning of the taking the top away from the Chiefs, and then the entire league started playing defense again that way. But they pressured it. They had 3 sacks, and I just pulled this out. They had 3 sacks in that game, but they pressured him 10 times in that game in addition to the 3 sacks. So kind of a similar formula, honestly. And it's not even just the Chiefs. Brady lost a Super Bowl that way at least once, where it was if you can pressure them without blitzing, like if you can generate that pressure but keep guys back in coverage, that's going to be challenging for any quarterback. The Chiefs are usually good at not letting teams do that, but in the 2 most high-profile places where they've lost big in Super Bowls. Big.
Yeah, and I don't remember the percentage of the blitz that, the Buccaneers deployed
I think it
to
was
Kansas
much.
City in that Super Bowl. But yeah, to me, there were some similarities for sure because, Philadelphia's defense is good enough and potent enough where they were able to get all of that pressure in the front 4 while not having to deploy anybody else. They could, keep the secondary back. They didn't have to blitz like crazy. And that was enough pressure that, it really threw Kansas City off their game offensively, where they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get first downs, really until garbage time when the game was firmly in hand by the Eagles. And, I asked this question on my social media last night, and I was a little bit surprised, honestly. I got a lot of responses. I asked them, like, is this loss worse than the Buccaneers Super Bowl loss 4 years ago? And overwhelmingly, the answers that I got were, yes, this one is worse than the one against Tampa Bay. And that kind of perplexed me a little bit. I get it. I think some of it is recency bias. Like, we're feeling the emotions like in the moment from the game last night. And 4 years is a long time and probably pretty far removed from all of that. But I don't know. I mean, I actually think that loss 4 years ago against Brady and the Buccaneers, at least for me, was worse than what we saw last night. If you go back to 2021, that Chiefs team was really, really good. Like they were 14-2 in the regular season. They lost to the Raiders, and then they lost when they rested their starters against the Chargers the final week of the regular season. That they were coming off of a Super Bowl win. That team was expected to do great things. I'm not saying that this team this year wasn't. I mean, clearly they were 15-2. They made a run through the playoffs and all of that. But the margin of victory for Kansas City this year, like, it was razor thin. And there were multiple games that we were like, man, the Chiefs should have lost that game. Like, they should have lost that game. And you know what? The more that I think about it, I think we collectively as Chiefs Kingdom talked ourselves in to this team being able to overcome any deficiency that they had to go all the way. And the Eagles just slapped that in the face. Like, they slapped that narrative in the face, because I think, and I can only speak for myself, I had convinced myself that, you know what? They're going to be good. Like, even though they clearly, in some of these games were not the better team, but they still,
because of last year, I think is
because
why
of last year. Like,
yeah.
I convinced myself that, oh yeah, like they'll win the Super Bowl too, even though the Eagles were just like head and shoulders dynamic.
Yeah, look, it's a really, really interesting question. I think there are too many variables to make like a definitive which was worse, because they were both tough for different reasons, and they're both not that big a deal for different reasons. Now we know. So the first time this happened, you didn't. The Buccaneers were also really good that year, just like the Eagles are, but you didn't know if that was the end of it then. So it felt daunting. Now that we get to have revisionist history, we of course know that it was nowhere near the end, and it's not that big a deal because they've gone on to win 2 Super Bowls since then and play in 3 more since then. It's like, okay, ultimately they lost a Super Bowl. Tom Brady lost 3 of them. Like, it's not that big a deal. At the time, we didn't know that though, so it felt overwhelming. Like, oh no, like, was that the end of this thing? Well, now that we've had enough time to see, like, no, it's not. Just like losing this game to the Eagles yesterday is not the end of it either. So on one hand, you have it like, you don't have that overwhelming doom of like, this could be the end of it, like you did right after that one. You don't. So it doesn't feel, I don't think, as like deflating. It's just like, okay, well, they lost. They'll probably be back there sometime in the next 2-3 years. So realistically, it's like, I will say though that I think this one was more disappointing, because it's very likely the only shot at a three-peat that they'll have. You know what I mean? Like, it's never happened. It's so hard to imagine it happening. They had their shot. They didn't get it. So to me, like,
am I the only one that doesn't really care about that? I might be the only one.
I think you are the only one. I think you are, because it gives you a chance to boast there something that nobody's ever been able to do. As you compare dynasties, that was going to make this the best one, and now it won't.
Like, it would have been the icing on the cake for sure, but it's not the cake. It's not the cake. Like, it's just a number of, like, how many Super Bowls overall can they get? I don't care how many are in a row necessarily. You know, because here's the thing: if you're a Chiefs fan and you have been for any number of years, like, it took them 50 years to win a Super Bowl. So as soon as they got the first one against the Niners, I'm like, okay, they finally got one in my lifetime. Everything else is gravy. And of course, I want them to win every time they're in the Super Bowl. Sure. But for whatever reason, I might have been the only one that leading into this game, I'm like, yeah, you know what? 3-peat would be nice. I don't really care that much about it.
You're the only one. I mean, it's history. It's history that'll probably, they're not going to have a chance, I don't think. And we can get, again, we'll do all this.
Anything. I don't think
it doesn't tarnish anything.
Them at all.
No. It does. They're not going to be able to do that now. And if, as we have conversations down the road, and we don't, like, this will be a question for another day. Like, how many more do we think the Chiefs will be able to win? I would say 1, 2, maybe 3. Like, they're not going to come in a row. So as you debate, like, where does this one stand? That would have always been the thing for the Chiefs to be like, we had the 3-peat, man. Like, we're going to have it. Like, we're going to have that. And so they won't have that. Now, it's not that big a deal, but you don't get to boast that now. And it just, again, as we come into this Monday and people are ready to poo-poo the Chiefs because everyone has Chiefs fatigue and people are sick of them, and I get it. And a lot of the responses to your stuff last night were like, oh, that's it. You know, that, of course it's not. It's not it. Like, it's not even close to it. But people are so sick of it. For me coming in, I'm like, man, we cannot lose sight of how good the Eagles were this year. B, how good they played yesterday. Like, just absolutely impressive yesterday. And 3, they've been to 2 of the last 3 also. And they had, for whatever reason, they had their collapse last year, but they were off to an 11-0 or 10-0 or whatever start it was. Why are the Eagles anywhere near being done with whatever it is that they're going to do? Like, the conversation should be more about that to me than it should be where this and how this like, it doesn't mean anything to the Chiefs. They've been to 1 billion Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has never not played in the AFC Championship. He lost a Super Bowl. Big damn deal. They'll come back next year, and guess what? They're probably going to be in another AFC championship game and have an opportunity to play for another Super Bowl. So none of that to me, like long-term, big picture, that doesn't matter to me. I think we've got to be like, we should be having the appropriate conversations about the Eagles more than the Chiefs. Like, the Eagles are here, and if Hurts is really that dude, which he showed us he was the last, like, they're not going anywhere either, because they are wildly flipping talented with a whole lot of really young players on defense. That defense ain't going anywhere for a while. So that, to me, the biggest takeaway of this Super Bowl to me is, are we going to see the start of a little Eagles dynasty perhaps? Because if that outcome, I'm telling you, 2 years ago, which was such a close Super Bowl, if that outcome goes the other way, that is 100% the conversation we're having today about the Eagles. It's that close, and probably we need to be paying a little more attention to that, because what's the reason they're going anywhere? Like, we know the Chiefs aren't going anywhere because they've got Mahomes, they got Andy Reid, and they got all these things, and they got a young defense. You say the exact same thing about the Eagles.
I get it. I get that whole argument about, where the Eagles are and where they're headed and what the future looks like for them. And you're not wrong about all of that. I mean, I think that clearly the most impactful move that any team made in the NFL, probably, I don't even know, in the last decade or so, is the Eagles getting Saquon Barkley. And even honestly,
they might have the 3 most impactful moves of the offseason. Drafting the 2 young corners, adding Saquon Barkley, and adding Bond to the defense. Yeah. That's where Howie Roseman does deserve his credit. I don't want to, like, if you heard me off the top of the show, like, it's not all about Howie Roseman. I mean, that's as good as an offseason as you can have in the NFL. Like, maybe the 3 most impactful. Then Derrick Henry deserves a nod too. All happened by Philadelphia. I mean, they hit them all out of the park. But it takes that, Tommy. Like, you have to do that if you're going to. Like, that's what it takes to be sustaining. That's what it takes to win a Super Bowl. They did it all, but I just think it's more about them than it is about the Chiefs today. And it's all been about the Chiefs. And I'm like, and I hate giving the Eagles credit, but give them some dang credit. Like, they were almost perfect yesterday.
Here's where it is about the Chiefs, though. I think that it's going to be super intriguing throughout the course of this offseason on how the Chiefs actually start to reset a little bit. And I think that it takes a game like what we saw last night to get some of these resets to happen. Like, you remember back to, of course, when they lost to the Buccaneers. It was kind of an organizational reset a little bit. Like, that Mahomes 1.0 was done. Like, that over-the-top, offense and the high-flying Tyreek Hill, get the ball to him, take your shots downfield, put up 50 points a game, throw for 400 yards in a game. Like, they had to reset that, and they did. And now you've seen this over the last couple of years, different kind of offense from Kansas City, where it's the more dink and dunk and the quick strikes and, like that sort of thing. I think you got to reset that now too. And so what does the next iteration of this Chiefs team look like? It's not unlike what we saw over the course of the career from Tom Brady. Like, his teams were not the same from 2002 to 2020. They were different, and there were different iterations of that team. And it took resets, organizational resets with the personnel on that team to allow him to get back to glory. And I think it's going to be kind of the same way with Kansas City now. So, I've heard all of this talk about, like, the dynasty is tarnished and they didn't get a 3-peat and blah, 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 blah. I think that if, like, Mahomes is, like, not going to ever get there again at 29, then yeah, at that point, 10 years from now, you can look back on that and be like,
yes,
you know what, that was the turning point and things were never the same for Kansas City. But he's got a long way to go. And, like, we're so far away from having a conversation about whether or not this dynasty is tarnished.
There are a couple crazy things. I think you're 100% right. Like, there's nothing, this impacts nothing in the Chiefs' legacy, nothing. And a reminder that, 2 of their Super Bowl wins that they have were by field goals, one of them in overtime. Right. So it's hard to do. And they've done it 3 times and been there 5 out of the last 6 times. That's incredible. The thing that made Brady the GOAT is that he did that at least twice. And probably there was a 10-year gap between the 2 Patriot runs. Okay, it's really difficult to do. And so, no, don't take it for granted, but like the Chiefs haven't had to do that yet. They've reinvented their style, but when you're losing all your coaches every year, when most teams are having to turn over rosters and the Chiefs have had some of that, but what's been really special about this group is they've been able to keep Kelsey and Jones and Reed and Mahomes together. But they've had a lot of turnover. But they'll still at some point have to do it without Jones and Kelsey. Right? Mahomes is going to have to do it without those two guys. And so that's where it gets really interesting. And that's what made Brady the GOAT. That's what Mahomes still has to do, right? He still has to do this for another decade to be able to sniff around where Brady's been. The thing about the Patriots is they did it for so long. And the Chiefs are halfway there, right? 5 out of 6 Super Bowls through the first, 7-8 years of Mahomes' career. That's you're on the way. Like, you're on the path. But now you got to do it again, basically. Like, you have to do what you've already done, and then you have to do it again. That's what the Patriots did, and that's what's so crazy about it. But to sit here and say it's over when you know Mahomes has, you think, at least 7 or 8 more years of football left is crazy talk. And it's just nonsense. All that is being a Chiefs hater. That's all that is. That's not realistic. That's not based on anything other than you're just like there were plenty of Patriot haters. That's all that was. It's not real.
Don't I know that, Jacob?
Right, Max. Like, you guys, and look, that's a part, but you knew they were always going to be there. And right now, like, what makes you think the Chiefs aren't going to be right back there? Several times. That's all Patrick Mahomes has literally ever done is be there. Every single year he's played. It's not about that. It's about the Eagles and how well they played yesterday and how well they played this season. And they were the better team. They were the better team on paper. They were the better team on the field. Like, they were the better team and they played better. Now, how do the Chiefs go become the better team?
Well, and here's the other thing too, where I do think it is about the Chiefs is that, again, another parallel you can draw back to 2021 against the Buccaneers is that Mahomes was forced to play hero ball and it didn't work out. And at that point, you're like, man, he's got to get some reinforcements. They've got to help him out. I felt the same way a lot last night. Now, he had a bad statistical game. He made a couple of really poor decisions. He's done that throughout the course of this season, especially early on where he turned the ball over and that sort of thing. But, you're watching him, and it's not even about the offensive playmaker, like the skill position weapons. It's more obviously about the offensive line. Like, he's got to get some help out there. I didn't think the play calling was great. I think, as much as I don't like Nick Sirianni, and I've made that very clear, he had a better game plan. He called a better game. And Kellen Moore called a better game. And Vic Fangio called a better game.
They got our
than Andy Reid and the coordinators for Kansas City did. Like, that's just the bottom line. They've got to get Patrick Mahomes some help, not just on the field, but they've got to help him, at least from the sideline, call a better game next time.
It happens. They got outcoached and they got outplayed. It doesn't happen very often, but it's happened twice in the Super Bowl. And just remember, it didn't really matter last time. They'll be right back there. We're going to talk about that. Let's talk about some of the other side stories of the Super Bowl when we come back. Happy Monday, everybody.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Your legend begins aboard the Disney Destiny, the all-new ship from Disney Cruise Line, sailing November of 2025. Log in and listen to KFH on Odyssey for a chance to win a trip for 4 to set sail on the Disney Destiny in this national contest. All you need to do, listen for an hour on the Odyssey app. You can find out more at kfhradio.com. So there's you another opportunity. We're festive. We're giving things away.
Man, after the weather forecast for later this week, I would love to go on a Disney cruise.
I'm not a cruise guy. I don't think I've never been on one.
Neither have I, but I would love to do that.
But I would be, this is a good timing for that. We'll also give away some HTO here in this segment, so stay tuned for your opportunity to win there. Zach says during the break, plenty of great quarterbacks only got 1 or less Super Bowls. Nothing's guaranteed. This could be it. I don't think it will be, but you're going to let yourself down if you say it's a sure thing. Nobody's saying it's a sure thing, Zach. What I think is likely is that it's not the last time the Chiefs have a chance. They'll be relevant at least all the way through. Whether they make another Super Bowl or not, I don't know. But they'll be in the mix. And that's all you can ever ask for, is for your team to be in the mix, legitimately in the mix, right? And Buffalo Bills fans might disagree with that. But it's far better than not being in the mix. And that's what Mahomes guarantees you. He guarantees you that you're in the mix. And so it's fine. It's fine. Honestly, it's not that big a deal. The big part of it is if you're a history buff, they lose the opportunity to make that history. That probably never happens again. So that part of it's gone. But otherwise, you played in 5 out of 6, the last 6 Super Bowls, and you've won 3 of them. I mean, come on. Like
pretty good odds.
You're on your way.
Championship game in the last 7 years.
You're on your way to matching what Brady and the Patriots did. You're on your way. You're halfway home. Basically, is what that means when we're talking about the great ones of all time. They're halfway there. As crazy as that sounds, that's what they are. Some of the other stuff with the Super Bowl, Tommy, it's kind of hard to be like on social media. There was a time where you could be on social media and it would be like fun and you'd laugh and everything was good. Now it's like you can't get on there without something being political. Like, shame on the politicians if for nothing else they've ruined these things for us. Like, you can't even watch the Super Bowl without people feeling like they need to make political statements. And I'm like, yeah. So I miss a lot of what happens, like a lot of the pop culture stuff on the Super Bowl. Halftime show was going to be a problem for me anyway, because I don't know a lot of Kendrick Lamar. So, like, I'm trying to figure out, was that good? Kendrick Lamar was a good performance. I don't know.
You strike me as a massive Kendrick Lamar fan, though.
He came just after the days where I was really into hip hop, and so he came a little after that. So I really don't know any of his stuff.
Fun fact: I don't know if you know this, Max, but Kendrick Lamar actually styled his fashion after Jacob Albrecht.
The jeans, and yeah. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. A lot of people do. I mean, he's not get in line.
You're a trailblazer. You're a fashion trailblazer.
That's right.
You have
nothing
the blue
but flannels in the wintertime. So I don't know if it was good or not. I asked people that are more into the scene. I was like, was that good? And they're like, yeah, it was fine. I guess it was a bad night for Drake. I'm on board with that. I don't particularly like Drake. So I'm like,
Serena
okay.
Williams, she made an appearance in the halftime show, apparently. She did a little dance during one of the songs.
Really?
Yeah.
When we were watching it, I missed it.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't see that. There was lots of other stuff happening at the Super Bowl. We'll see what the ratings are. They'll be high because the Chiefs were in there. But so I didn't. The commercials were fine. The ones I saw there were some funny ones. Like like that's a part of it too. It's not like the surprise element of the commercials doesn't exist anymore.
I had a good night.
They were good.
That was fun. I had a good night playing poker. That was probably the highlight.
What commercial did you like?
There was one that made me laugh. You remember what it was, Tommy? There's
the Matt Damon. The Matt
Damon one was fine.
Yeah, it was good. That's not the one that made me actually. Oh, the seal. The seal. Seal is a seal. Yeah. That one made me laugh. That's the one I thought was really good. I was like, why did it take so long for seal to be a seal? That was the one that made me laugh. Yeah.
Is anybody else wondering what happened to David Beckham? I mean, could he have any more tattoos? And
he's got a lot.
And I thought the Ben Affleck, Bill Belichick first.
That was fine.
Pretty good.
That was good.
I need to go back and watch some of them. I saw the Beckham one, but I didn't hear all of it.
Damon made it.
I like the Little Caesars one with Eugene Levy's eyebrows that were flying around.
That one.
It was good. I
didn't catch that one either. I don't know. I love the commercials. I love good commercials. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I love commercials. I love the ones that invoke emotion and all that stuff. I think they're great. I think they're so entertaining and like creative and cool and valuable and all of these things. But I will have to go back now and watch because I can't hear it. I can't hear anyway. Like it and an environment like last night where there's a lot of noise, and we had a Super Bowl party. There were probably like 12 kids running around, and but if there is a lot of noise, I can't hear anything. Like, it's all just noise for me. It's not the volume. It's audible, but I can't decipher any of it. So like, I'm sitting there staring. I'm like, I'm going to have to go back to this because I can't quite understand what's happening anywhere, not just there, but all around me.
I'm going to make a comment about the Super Bowl party last night at your house, Jacob, that if you are a relative newcomer to this program, it's going to sound really weird. But if you've listened for a long time, you probably know what I'm talking about. I finally got a chance to try your hot legs.
Oh, yeah.
I finally tried Jacob's hot legs, which, again, that sounds really weird if you don't know what that is. But they were
sounds
solid.
Just right.
They were solid.
Yeah. I got great hot legs. They're delicious. And it's just right. No matter how you want to think about that.
They're basically, I mean, they're drumsticks. They're
drumsticks. There is
kind of like buffalo wing.
Kind of. Yeah. There's a way that you have to cook the meat. It takes a long time, not like a lot of effort, but the timing of it, like for drumsticks, takes a long time, but they're really good. And I sauced them up a couple different ways.
You've been talking about your hot legs basically since we joined this show together 3 years ago.
Because if you're like in the summertime, if you're grilling, like they're not always the main course, but they're just kind of always on, and you just grab them straight off the grill, you can eat like 30 of those things. Like they're so good. But yeah, we did get some hot legs. Tommy made some great sausage. I didn't realize.
I tried your hot legs and you tried my sausage.
Tried my sausage. That's right. That's correct. That's right. We're one big happy family on this show, Sports Daily. I didn't realize hosting a Super Bowl party meant that I had to decorate for one. And man, I got to tell you, the self-control that I showed when you guys weren't around, but the self-control I had, I thought was Super Bowl level self-control by just seeing package after package of decorations at the doorstep. I almost slipped up a couple of times, but I let it, but I bit my tongue.
I thought the balloons were a nice touch. I thought that was
balloons, the
nice.
Streamers, the table runners, I'm like, it's a football game. We're watching a football game here. Like, what are we doing? And I did. I decorated happily and put them all up and did all the things. And I wasn't aware that had to be it, but I'm sure, Tommy, that if you hosted, your lovely wife would have made you do the same thing. But it's
would you do it again?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't need to do any of the other stuff. I would have had just as much fun if there were 0 decorations. And, we ordered 3 pizza. We were playing poker during the Super Bowl. It was fantastic. Are you kidding me?
We wouldn't have played. Had it not been a blowout, we probably wouldn't have played poker. I don't think. We probably would have been more locked in on the game.
Probably. I don't know. We would have been less locked in on poker. I mean, you're giving, but it probably still would have happened. True. I mean, it's like a nice little sidebar. So we did the squares. I told you guys my wife is the luckiest person in the world. She's going to win a square, and she did. She won 2 by all technical speaking.
And by the way, family. There were 4 families at your Super Bowl party. Every family won one of the squares except for mine. Well, so I was the only one who donated all of my money to you guys. I didn't get anything.
We appreciate that. It's great. It's a great contribution that you made.
We're talking money. Can we talk bets for a second? The bets were I
actually did okay.
I meant to horrible. It was.
I meant to send them to you guys. I was better than even. Now I will say that it wasn't like I did one of those DraftKings lineups things with some friends that we do them all season long. I won one of those, and then I won a different like parlay that I do with some friends. So I actually came out on top, believe it or not, of the day. I was really close. Noah Gray let me down because I basically took all the money. I made bigger bets than I'll ever make just because it was a Super Bowl for fun. Tommy, I was like 8 yards, 6 yards Noah Gray shy of one of those big ones. That's the only part that didn't hit. So as bad as that game was, I was above even. Like I ended up a little on top yesterday, believe it.
It was a rough night for me. I mean, I leaned on Saquon Barkley. I didn't do a whole lot of Jalen Hurts.
Lean on Saquon.
I leaned on Kareem Hunt. That was a bad bet. Now the DeAndre Hopkins, garbage time stuff helped. The main one I hit was Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown. That was about it.
I hit the Hurts first touchdown. I hit some bets. I definitely was on top in a game where it didn't look like any bet was going to hit for anybody. It ended up being an okay betting night. I am so sad that football season is over for that reason. Man, it's a bummer. I hate that.
You can always bet college basketball.
I know it's been a hard year for college basketball. I've kind of stopped because it's been too unpredictable. It's been really difficult. I mean, we'll bet March Madness like everybody else does, but that's kind of like I don't bet it. I sprinkle in a little with baseball in the summertime, kind of when I'm bored, but I'm very much a football bettor. That's for sure. And I'll try. Sometimes I try. I like March Madness, but I like baseball betting, but not to the level that I put the time and energy into football. So that's a bummer. Real quick, if you want to win some HTO, you can right now. Text the keyword T to the short code 20357. That'll get you a free iced tea. That'll get you a free ring coffee. How about this for a special drink, Tommy? This officially launches Friday, but it's out now. You can ask for them. You see the Poppy commercial in the Super Bowl? Poppy, the soda?
Yeah.
We're partnering up with Poppy now. So there's 3 like special HTO Poppy mixed beverages. They're really good. I've tried them. Like they're way good actually. But you can try those now. Just go in and ask for them. You can win a free drink. Otherwise, a free iced tea, a free coffee by texting the keyword T to 20357. You can enter once a day. Message and data rates apply.
Hey, by the way, I know that if you listen to the show regularly, you've become probably used to having Jalen Thompson on Mondays talking Royals. We actually pushed Jalen back to Friday because we knew we'd be talking Super Bowl today. Jalen's going to be with us on Friday live from Royals spring training. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, we are looking forward to that. It is turn the page time in a lot of ways. We'll do a lot of that this week. Look, there's a lot to unpack from Chiefs Eagles in that Super Bowl. Today's just like the Super Bowl appetizer, for lack of a better term, because there is a lot like what happens now and how does that game impact a plan for the Chiefs offseason? Because I absolutely think it does. Absolutely think it does. I think what happened yesterday will impact what the Chiefs do this offseason. There's no question about it. It has to. It better.
It has to.
So we'll get into all of that as we make our way through this week. We are so glad to have Max with us. We are so glad to have you all with us, as it's almost like another season of Sports Daily starts after football season. Quite frankly, it's like that's the end of the season for us, and now we shift gears and refocus, and college basketball comes into sight, and all of these things sort of change, and you start thinking about offseason. So it is with us too. We're glad you're here with us for it. We're coming right back. More Sports Daily right after this.